everyone, my name is Ginger Jameer, and today my presentation is on my internship that I did at my church here in San Diego. Before I want to talk more about my internship. I want to let you know a little bit about my church. So let me give you a brief background of my church. The name of my church is called New Beginning Community Church. We have about 80 to 100 members in our church, and we have a diverse age group of children who are about a year old all the way to a great grandmother who's about 98 years old. Our church caters mostly to Filipinos, and we have one service on Sundays, and it's usually in English with a little bit of Tagalog thrown in here and there once in a while. Culturally, we have members that were born here and grew up here. We have members that were born in the Philippines that moved here and grew up here, and we have some members who were born and raised in the Philippines and are now residing here in San Diego. I have been with this church for about 9 years now. I moved here in 2005, and I've been with this church ever since. So when it comes to my internship, I actually did 2 internships, one with the children's ministry and then one with the women's ministry. And for this part of the presentation, I'm going to be focusing more on my internship with the women's ministry. And for the second part of my presentation, I'll be talking about my internship with the children's ministry. So for this part about the women's ministry, we call it WOW, and WOW stands for Women of Worth. We have several locations here in the California area. We have one here in San Diego, one in San Jose, and then another one in Bakersfield. We also have one in Singapore, and that's where the WOW ministry originated, and it is still ongoing up to today. So after my meeting with my mentor, we came up with 3 projects that she wanted me to work on. The first one was to learn how the women's ministry worked by participating in any events that they carried out, in any events that they participated in, such as Father's Day, Valentine's Day, Couples Day Out. They have Saturday gatherings, Saturday morning gatherings once a month, and this is when the women come together just to kind of relax and refresh themselves. We have breakfast first thing in the morning, and then we go into games, and then we go into the Word of God. We take time to pray for one another, and then we have volunteers, one volunteer at a time, to come up to share things, what we call WOW moments. So they would share fun stuff, like how to stay fit, certain recipes, what to do when there's a home invasion, what are the laws here in California. So there's a variety of things that we talk about when we go for this WOW event on Saturdays once a month. The second thing that my mentor wanted me to work on was the social media aspect of the WOW ministry. As you know, nowadays everything is driven by technology and by social media, so it's important to be where everyone's at so that you can reach more people. And so she wanted me to start a Facebook page for the Women of Worth, so that they're, regardless of where you are, San Jose, Bakersfield, or here in San Diego, you're able to refer to that page to get to know other women, to connect with other women, to find out what's happening, what are the upcoming events, to get resources. So she really wanted to build an audience that, that people are, an audience that for the Women of Worth Facebook page. So when it came, the third project that my mentor wanted me to work on was regarding the young women's ministry. With the young women, we are talking about the ladies who are about high school age to maybe young college age students. So she wanted me to build a curriculum, start a young women's group for these ladies. So when it came to the needs and challenges and outcomes for the first project, which was to work within the women's ministry, I was able to do that no problem. I was able to go to most of the activities that the women had, and I was also able to join meetings and participated not only in the events but in getting those events started, in making sure that everything was ready for the people that were coming to participate. Now, when it came to the social media aspect, the second project that I had a little bit of some challenges in that area. The goal of the Facebook page was to help the WOW ministry here in California to know more about the upcoming events, access resources, and also connect with other women. So with that said, I was able to establish a Facebook page, and I was able to put content in it that tells you about who the women of worth are. But after that, it got really hard to get content from my supervisor. It was really hard to get the upcoming events in a timely manner, and I don't blame my mentor at all. During this time that I had my internship, she really had her plate full. She works full-time outside the church, and she also, during her free time and on Saturdays and Sundays, she solely devotes herself to what's happening with the church. And so while I was doing the internship, she was working full-time outside church. She was doing church stuff, and her husband, which was also the pastor, had some health issues. So it was a really tough time for her, and that's one of the reasons why I couldn't get certain things at a timely manner. Needless to say, I told her that even after my internship, I want to be able to continue helping them with building that Facebook page and getting audience, and hopefully find someone who will take over and run the Facebook system for them. As for the young women's group, right here, that this third project did not get fulfilled at all. Some of the challenges were the fact that I was not well versed in that age range. My expertise really lies within the children's age group, which would be the preschoolers and maybe the first to second grade. So when it came to teenagers, I really had no knowledge of that age group. And then culturally, I did not grow up here in the States, so the things that they were struggling with or are struggling with were fairly different from what I struggled with. So it was kind of hard for me to relate to certain things. And I know this is something that I will revisit in the future. I have not totally given up on it, and I told my mentor that I am up for the challenge. Maybe sometime down the future we can revisit it and hopefully start a curriculum or start some kind of Bible study for these women. And so with that said, she decided to give me a different project or another project, which was the music ministry. She was also in charge of, or is also in charge of, the music ministry, and because she had so much on her plate, she just really wanted me to take on that responsibility of training new members of the music ministry, new musicians of the music ministry. She wanted me to help get schedules together, make sure everybody was able to come to Saturday and Sunday practices, that everything was running smoothly. And at first I was a little bit hesitant because in the back of my head, well, this has nothing to do with the women's ministry. We had all these other goals set up. I would rather concentrate on that. So I was a little bit hesitant on that. But when I really stopped and thought about it, I realized that, hey, if this was something I could help her with, this in turn will help the women's ministry, because then she can focus more on other things that are needed. And if I can help in this area, why not? And so I took on that role in helping the new members and also in giving advice to current worship leaders. So when it came to the main highlights of this internship, really there's one major thing that I could think of, and that has got to do with building relationships. Getting to know these women who were um, a little bit older than me, who not necessarily spoke English as their first language, was a little bit difficult for me, and I was a little bit awkward in the beginning. Personally, I have a hard time opening up to people. I have a hard time getting to know people, and so to be put in that situation, I was really uncomfortable. I remember my first meeting with the women. I was very hesitant. I was just kind of quiet. I was just kind of observing everybody, but all the women were so nice. They made sure I was comfortable. They took time to talk to me. They make sure I was fed. They kept giving me food. And if you must know, in the Filipino culture, that's a huge thing. When they feed you, they love you. So if you ever go to a Filipino function and they feed you, then you are very welcome in that family. And so with the women, they were very open to having me around, which made me really comfortable, and which made me better relax and better talk to people. Through this ministry, through the women's ministry, I was better able to relate to the women on a personal basis. I was able to pray for them on a more personal basis. And I was able to really feel the heartbeat of God for each one of them. And that was mind blowing. My relationship with these women was not just a Sunday thing, but I wanted to get to know them more. I wanted to ask them questions. I wanted to pursue them. I wanted to be there for them. And that's something that I don't do on my own. So I know it's the Holy Spirit really leading me and pushing me to pursue these women individually and personally. Because if it was just me, I would rather not have anything to do with anybody. I would pray for people, but to go a step beyond that was something that was not of me. So I believe that if there's anything that God wanted me to learn is how to enter into relationships, build relationships, and sustain relationships. And I think this is really one of the foundations of God's work. When I look at the life of Jesus, it was really about establishing relationships more than anything. He was with the people. He was eating with the people. He was sleeping with the people. He was where the people were at. He was there meeting their needs, ministering to them. He was not just there preaching. He was not just there talking. He was there just feeling their heart and getting to know them and asking them questions and being with people that nobody wanted to be with. And at the end of the day, when we look at ministry, that's really what it's about. It's about building those relationships. It's about spending time with people. It's about getting to know people. It's about reaching out to people and sharing God's love. And that was something that I learned about this women's ministry. And there are two things that I learned from my mentor. Number one is how to interact with others, how to interact with women, and how to reach them where they're at. And then the second thing was how to gain and build their trust, or build trust within those relationships. I think it takes a lot of experience and wisdom to balance the dynamics of any group, more so a women's group, and seeing how my mentor maneuvered around different personalities was eye-opening for me. There were times I wanted to step in to correct someone my way, and I know if I probably opened my mouth, I would have offended somebody. But seeing how my mentor corrected someone with love and encouraged them and helped them to problem solve and not just say, oh, you're wrong and this is the right way. She did it with such grace. Was a good learning experience for me, and that is something that I know I'm gonna need to continue to learn. And so, because we're running out of time, the 3 lessons that I have learned from this from this internship is, number 1, to be open. And these things are things that I would advise anybody to be open, to not be afraid to get to know people, to not be afraid for people to get to know you. Number 2, to always be ready and flexible, because things don't always happen the way that you plan. I'm a person who plans, who organizes. I like to put my ducks in a row and make sure that those things happen. And so when something gets thrown off or something is changed, I panic a little. Just like when my mentor said, "Oh, you're gonna do music ministry," I panicked a little. So I learned to just relax and be ready and flexible. And third thing, that there's comfort in numbers. Once you open up to people, you share their joy, you share their pain, you share their laughter, and they share yours. And when that happens, you just find comfort in relationships that you have with people. And so that kind of sums up my internship with the Women of Worth. I hope you had enjoyed listening to me, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you for part 2.